Привет! Меня зовут Кевин. Как позываете? Comrades, it is the ninth of February, and I'm reviewing the Ramones, because I'm reviewing all these punk bands, and nobody really cares, but I really care. And in order to explain these punk bands, I have to, at some point, address the Ramones. So my two favorite Ramones records, my favorite is Rocket to Russia. That's why I just spoke Russian to you. My second favorite, see, it's backwards, because it's a mirror. Anyway, my second favorite is the self-titled debut. Their first and third record are the best to me. Their first four records, all perfect tens. Also, there's some marquee tens. I think Nice Dreams or Sweet Dreams, the one with KKK, Took My Baby Away, We Want the Airwaves, I think that's a 10. I think Too Tough to Die is a 10. But we're talking about these two, because that's on the agenda for today. The Ramones self-titled album. The Ramones... Okay, how do I explain what the Ramones are? The Ramones are, according to very many people, like the first punk band or the archetypal punk band. I don't think there are the archetypal punk band, because the Stooges were before them, the Dolls were before them. They used to go see Dolls shows, and they were friends partly because they bonded over loving the Stooges. So it's hard to say that they were the first when there was other, MC5 Stooges. There's other groups that influenced them. But the way that they play punk is this more melodic, simplified thing that inspired everybody to go out and start a punk band, more than these other bands, because they did kind of codify punk into a thing. So they get a lot of the credit and blame for what happens to punk in the wake of their beautiful blasts of kind of monotonous, just the kind of quintessence of old rock and roll, just as fast and as dirty as you can get, and also incorporating low culture things like horror movies, science fiction stuff, comic book stuff, with historical references, mainly to offensive things like Rocket to Russia, released at the height of the Cold War, Cretin Hop, the Blitzkrieg Bop, the first song on the first record, Hey Ho, Let's Go. But Blitzkrieg, he's referencing Nazis. The last song on the record, he says, I'm a Nazi, baby. On Today, Your Love, Tomorrow, the World. It's a great song. Anyway, so they are to blame and give credit to for a lot of what seeps in to punk, which is this kind of low art, high art thing, this reducing everything to its simplest form. They directly inspired a lot of the first wave British punk bands that some people consider the first punk band to be like the Sex Pistols or the Clash or something like that. But the Clash, Sex Pistols, the Damned, these early British punk bands, they saw the Ramones. They went and saw, all the members of these bands saw the Ramones play when they toured Europe, and then either started bands or started playing more like the Ramones. So they are kind of the Philosopher's Stone, or whatever, the what's that tablet where you get all the languages, the Rosetta Stone of this style of music that I love so much, punk rock. But musically, they sound not like at all like what punk rock turned into with hardcore. It's very melodic, it's very pretty. It's honestly reminiscent of like girl groups like Ronettes, Supremes, Marvelettes, Crystals. Like that's who it's most akin to sonically. It's just played through this super simplified version with these distorted guitars, all upstrokes, no solos. Just like this military punk. And the band name is inspired by the Beatles. They loved the Beatles. They were trying to sound like the Beatles. One of the most hilarious things about the Ramones is that this is what they think the Beatles sound like. Um, Paul Ramone was the name Paul McCartney used to check into hotels. That's why they were the Ramones. And then they kind of were whatever their name was, and then Ramone, kind of like a gang thing. And then their seal became the presidential seal, replaced with Ramones and their names. And anyway, they were crazy people, obsessed with just weird shit. Johnny was a crazy right wing Republican. Joey was a bleeding heart left wing. So you had this internal tension always, and they were obsessed with like collecting baseball cards and comic books and watching horror movies. And they incorporated all of this into their lyrics, into their music, and their lyrics are very repetitive, as is their music, but it's reducing music to its simplest form. In a way that I don't think even a band like the Dolls accomplished. The Stooges went to a darker, weirder place. I think the Stooges probably more have direct influence on stuff like hardcore than the Ramones, and they were earlier. So perhaps the Stooges are the Rosetta Stone in a sense. But there's kind of two different directions punk went into. If you're going in a Green Day direction, then Ramones is where you're getting it. If you're going in a Black Flag direction, you're probably getting it more from Stooges. Anyway, first album, first song, Blitzkrieg Bop. Hey ho, let's go. You're bumping in a straight line, you're going through a tight wind, the kids are losing their minds. Blitzkrieg Bop, bopping in the backseat, generating steam heat, pulsate to the backbeat. Blitzkrieg Bop. I don't need lyrics for these because they're so repetitive. It's simple. If you've listened to these records a bunch of times, you know every word on every one of these albums. Beat on the Brat. Great. I love this riff. This. They use this a lot, but this is the first time they use it, and it's great. And the lyrics are great. Beat on the Brat with a baseball bat. Oh, yeah. With a brat like that always on your back, what can you do? What can you lose? Judy Is a Punk is probably my favorite song on the first record. Judy is a punk, Jackie is a runt. They both go down to Brooklyn down the ice. They both went down to Berlin down the ice capades. I used to think it was Brooklyn. It's Berlin. Dee Dee spent a lot of time in Germany. He raps in German on his rap album, which is also a 10. That will take me a while to explain why that's a 10. We're talking about the best two Ramones records. Let's stay here. They both go into I love the first verse, same as the second verse, same as the first. Judy is a punk, Jackie is a runt. They both run down the Berlin on ice capades. And oh, I don't know why. And oh, I don't know why. Perhaps they'll die. Oh yeah, perhaps they'll die. And then the third verse, different from the first. He's right. There actually is a different third verse. Instead of joining the ice capades, Judy's a punk, Jackie's a runt. They both went down to Berlin, joined the SLA, the Symbionese Liberation Army, which is what Patty Hearst joined, that cult. She was the granddaughter of William Randolph Hearst, one of the richest, most powerful people in history, and joined this crazy cult, then got converted. They did bank robberies and stuff. I'm not going to talk about Patty Hearst. It's really interesting. Read books about it. Anyway, after Judy Is a Punk, I Want to Be Your Boyfriend. This song was written by Tommy, the drummer, and it's such a pretty, straightforward, just love song. This is where you really hear that Ronettes Crystal's influence. Like, this is just such a genuine, pure love song. There's nothing snarky about it. There's nothing... Yeah, I don't understand why this couldn't be played on the radio. I don't understand why anything on this couldn't be played on the radio, honestly, but... After I Want to Be Your Boyfriend, Chainsaw, they're reminding you we're weird, we're punks. There's chainsaw noises. I think it was inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it's rocking, Ramones. The riffs, the precision, the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want to sniff some glue. Those are like the only words. Now I want to sniff some glue. Now I want to have something to do. All the kids want to sniff some glue. All the kids want something to do. Great Dee Dee song. I Don't Want to Go Down to the Basement, I think is also a Dee Dee song. and again, kind of inspired by horror movies. It's like this idea of like it's creepy to go downstairs, evoking this kind of childhood fear of the dark, and also kind of indicating maybe there's something more sinister going on, like there's something being kept in the basement, or there's something down there. It's like there's something that you're avoiding in the basement, or the basement is scary. That's the impression you get. Side 2 of the record opens with Loudmouth, Dee Dee song. Oh, Loudmouth, baby. Hey, Romeo. Great song. Havana Affair. Fantastic. I haven't gone to a note yet. Yeah, Loudmouth is like the Blitzkrieg Bop, a chord over, and then the verse is the Teenage Lobotomy. Yeah. Havana Affair, great song. These songs sound the same. I could tell you like which other songs that the Ramones did that sound like the same song. I don't think that'll actually help anybody because the only people who would care are people who already know the Ramones. So I'll stop doing that. Those are most of my notes, are telling you which Ramones songs are other Ramones songs. Okay. So after Havana Affair, you have Listen to My Heart. Great song. 53rd and 3rd. This one is crazy. This is Dee Dee's talking about, apparently he used to prostitute himself, like as a male prostitute. Dee Dee was bisexual, and he apparently legitimately used to prostitute himself for men or women, and he would just fuck anybody. But in this one, it's like 53rd and 3rd trying to turn a trick. 53rd and 3rd, I'm the one they never picked. And then Dee Dee comes in and sings, Then I took my razor blade, and I did what God forbade. Now the cops are after me, but I proved I'm no sissy. It's like he's saying, like, I'm not sissy, I'm not a faggot. I just killed this guy to prove how straight I am. It's like this weird thing, because it's like you're mad that you're the one they never picked. You want to be a gay prostitute. Then you're going to kill the guy to prove you're not a sissy. Again, just the level of insanity inside the brains of the people creating this music is glorious to listen to. 53rd and 3rd. After that is Let's Dance. It's a cover. I think it was released single. I Don't Want to Walk Around With You. Has like 2 lyrics. Has like 3 chords. All these songs have 3 chords. 2 lyrics pretty much. Today Your Love, Tomorrow the World. They get into the I'm a Nazi, and then there's a cool part at the end where they say the refrain of Today Your Love, Tomorrow the World. But again, like inserting this dark fascism stuff into it. And it's a perfect 10 record. One of the greatest debut records ever, one of the greatest records ever. Ramones self-titled. The cover of this is also a tribute to the Beatles. That just portrait of them. They wanted something that looked like their version of a Beatles album cover. But despite themselves, despite how earnestly they're trying to create conventional, soulful, like 50s classic rock and roll, they can't help but be this weird, like, ugly thing that they've been turned into. It's like they can't hide their weirdness. Even though they try their best to just make conventional stuff, it's like they're accidentally deconstructing it in this amazing way by like primitively trying to imitate the classic rock and roll progressions and stuff. They kind of simplify it, reduce it to a new form that tons of groups pick up on, and all of a sudden there's a new kind of burst of energy of these bands playing these fast, to the point, short, very melodic songs, and those are called punk songs now. Whereas with the MC5 and Stooges, punk before this, some people say there isn't punk before this because some people say Ramones are the first punk band. I think there were punk bands in the 50s. I can talk about that later. Let's finish reviewing this album. Rocket to Russia, my favorite album. Cretin Hop, there's no stopping the Cretins from hopping. Gotta keep it before all the hopping Cretins. Cretin, I'm gonna go for a whirl with my Cretin girl. Again, it's basically like they're basically rewriting the same album. Every time they make an album, they're basically rewriting the same album. This is the Blitzkrieg Bop. Now it's the Cretin Hop. Rockaway Beach, one of their best songs ever. Chewing out rhythm on my bubble gum. Sun's out, sun's coming out, and I want some. It's not hard, not far to reach. We can hitch a ride to Rockaway Beach. Rock, rock, Rockaway Beach. This song is so good, they repeat the chorus a third time. They never do that. They always just do verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, next song. This, they couldn't help themselves. They hit such a good chorus with Rockaway Beach, they had to give you one more. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow. Great Joey song. It's a great love song like I Want to Be Your Boyfriend. Again, it's very much following the formula of the first record. Lock It Love rocks. It's a Dee Dee song. It's musically kind of Sheena's a punk rocker chords. And the bridge is kind of We're a Happy Family chords. And then it's at the Blitzkrieg Bop tempo. Most of the stuff's at the Blitzkrieg Bop tempo. They don't have a lot of tempos. They don't have a lot of riffs. They're using a lot of the same things over and over again. And inventing new ways to create new connections within this kind of reductive thing that they've created out of the rock and roll that they hear. I Don't Care. Amazing song. One of the most original sounding songs on this record. And it is like based on a cool riff. And then Dee Dee doing the backing vocals. I think it's a great song. Lyrically, I like it a lot too. I Wanna Be Well is I Want to Be Your Boyfriend Again. Sort of, except the I wanna, he repeats that a bunch. So, again, they do this thing. They do it in Pinhead. They do it in... There's a lot where it's like the... Anyway, Ramona is proto I Want to Be Sedated. It's basically the same progression as I Want to Be Sedated, but it's a love song to Ramona. Why isn't it always this way? Rock and closer with good Joey vocals. Havana Affair is basically Beat on the Brat, and the bridge is kind of that Pinhead like dun 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 dun. But usually everything is that like every Ramones song. Why do we need to hear hundreds of versions of the same song? I would argue everything in music is as stupid as the Ramones. We were repeating these simple formulas that we did not create, and we were imitating what we like about them. And then our personalities shape our voice, which is our impression of what we were listening to, right? So I think the Ramones are actually less inspired directly by the Beatles, although they claim so much to care about the Beatles. They sound more like the early rock groups that the Beatles were influenced by. And yeah, Drake is mashed potato time. D.D. King is just as ahead of its time as the Ramones records. He figured out, like, Hotline Bling is mashed potato time. The D.D. King rap record is a 10. I'll review it with a Drake record if you'd like. There aren't any Drake 10s, so I can't review it with a Drake record. But I'll review it. I don't know. I'll figure something out. This is my job now. Just gotta do this every day. Just punch my card. Just... We're a happy family. We're a happy family. Me, mom, and daddy. Sitting here in Queens, eating refried beans, gulping down chlorosines. I'm friends with the president. I'm friends with the pope. We all make a fortune selling daddy's dope. Our troubles never end. No Christmas cards to send. Daddy likes men. Again, I did not pull up a single lyric. If you love the Ramones, these are all imprinted in your brain. And I love the Ramones. I love you. Thanks for watching. Hope you listen to the first 4 Ramones records at least. And then just the other ones too, because they're one of the greatest bands ever. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Go down to Berlin and join the Ice Capades, or join the SLA. There's probably not a lot of people looking to join the SLA at this point. I want to liberate the Symbionese. Something to do. All the kids want something to do. Guess I'll just